When people think of millionaires, they often picture flashy sports cars, oversized mansions, designer logos splashed across every inch of fabric, and social media feeds filled with champagne and private jets. But the truth is, many of the wealthiest individuals in the world don't look wealthy at all. They move quietly, dress simply, speak modestly, and live in ways that don't attract attention. These are the quiet millionaires, the ones who don't need to prove anything because their bank accounts already do. And the fascinating part is that their wealth often reveals itself not through what they show, but through what they don't. In this video, we're diving deep into 10 subtle signs that quietly scream quiet millionaire. If you pay close attention, you might start noticing these patterns in people around you, or maybe even in yourself. One of the first subtle signs is an unusual level of calm around money conversations. A quiet millionaire doesn't flinch when markets drop, when the economy slows down, or when unexpected expenses pop up. They don't panic buy during inflation scares or brag during bull markets. That's because they've built financial buffers, diversified investments, and long-term strategies that protect them from emotional reactions. Where most people operate from financial fear or excitement, they operate from stability. They understand cycles. They've seen downturns and recoveries. Their calmness isn't ignorance. It's experience, backed by assets. If you ever meet someone who seems completely unbothered by financial chaos, while others are spiraling, that composure might not be accidental. It could be backed by 7 or 8 figures sitting quietly in index funds, real estate, or private investments. Another powerful sign is that they value privacy almost obsessively. In a world where people broadcast everything, salaries, promotions, vacations, even morning coffee, the quiet millionaire shares very little. They don't post screenshots of investment gains. They don't announce every business win. In fact, you may not even know what they truly do for a living. They deflect personal financial questions with humor or simplicity. This isn't secrecy born from fear. It's intentional discretion. Wealth attracts attention, and attention attracts problems. The truly wealthy often understand that privacy is protection. They prefer low visibility because it allows them to operate freely without unnecessary scrutiny or expectations. If someone keeps their financial life completely off the radar while still appearing comfortable and secure, that silence can be louder than any luxury brand. The third subtle sign is understated quality in what they own. Quiet millionaires rarely chase trends, but what they buy tends to last. Their clothes might look simple, but the fabric feels different. Their watch might not sparkle across the room, but it's meticulously crafted. Their car might not be the newest flashy model, but it's reliable, well-maintained, and paid off. They invest in durability rather than display. They understand cost per use. Instead of buying 10 cheap things, they buy one excellent thing. You won't see oversized logos or attention-grabbing designs. Instead, you'll notice consistency, practicality, and longevity. That quiet quality often signals financial literacy. Because people who understand wealth understand appreciation, resale value, and the psychology of status spending. Another sign is that they rarely talk about getting rich quick. The quiet millionaire doesn't jump from one trendy investment to another. They're not chasing every new cryptocurrency, flipping every viral product, or chasing every secret strategy circulating online. Their wealth likely came from disciplined habits compounded over years, sometimes decades. They believe in boring consistency. They understand that true wealth is built slowly through smart allocation, patience, and When someone seems uninterested in hype and more focused on fundamentals, that's a powerful clue. They've already learned that slow and steady doesn't just win the race, it owns the track. The fifth subtle sign is an unusual comfort with delayed gratification. Most people want immediate upgrades when income increases: bigger house, newer car, more luxurious lifestyle. But quiet millionaires often maintain the same lifestyle long after their income multiplies. They resist lifestyle and inflation. They might still live in the same neighborhood they've lived in 4 years. They might drive the same car even when they could afford something 10 times more expensive. That discipline creates enormous investment gaps. The difference between what they earn and what they spend, and that gap compounds. When you see someone whose lifestyle doesn't match what you'd expect from their likely income level, especially in high-earning fields, you might be witnessing intentional wealth preservation. Another strong indicator is how they talk about work. Quiet millionaires often speak about their careers or businesses with curiosity rather than ego. They don't need to exaggerate titles or flex accomplishments. In fact, they might downplay what they do. I work in logistics could mean they own a regional distribution company. I'm in tech could mean they hold equity in a startup that quietly scaled. They're comfortable not being fully understood. There's a difference between someone who needs recognition and someone who simply enjoys building. Quiet millionaires tend to be builders. They derive satisfaction from creating value, solving problems, and watching systems grow, not from applause. The seventh subtle sign lies in how they spend on experiences. While they may avoid flashy purchases, they often invest generously in meaningful experiences, travel with family, education, health, and time freedom. They might fly comfortably, but not as. They might choose boutique hotels over influencer hotspots. They value memories and relationships over optics. The key difference is intention. They spend where it aligns with their values and cut ruthlessly where it doesn't. If someone appears selectively generous, willing to pay for quality experiences, but indifferent towards status symbols, that balance is often backed by financial clarity. Another revealing sign is their network. Quiet millionaires often surround themselves with thoughtful, driven, grounded individuals. They value conversations about ideas, investments, and growth rather than gossip or constant comparison. They may not name-drop powerful contacts, but if you listen closely, you'll notice depth in their relationships. They understand that proximity influences performance. Instead of chasing popularity, they cultivate alignment. Their circles tend to include entrepreneurs, investors, professionals, and mentors, people who think long-term. Wealth rarely grows in isolation. It grows in ecosystems. And quiet millionaires are intentional about theirs. The ninth subtle sign is their relationship with time. To most people, time is something they sell. To quiet millionaires, time is something they protect. They design their lives to reduce unnecessary obligations. They automate, delegate, and systemize. They may still work hard, but they work on their terms. They avoid constant urgency. They decline meetings that don't add value. They prioritize health, reflection, and strategic thinking. If someone seems unusually unhurried yet highly productive, that control over time often indicates financial leverage. When money is handled well, it buys freedom before it buys luxury. The final subtle sign is generosity without performance. Quiet millionaires often give but quietly. They support charities, help friends launch businesses, fund education, or tip generously without announcing it. Their giving isn't transactional or attention-seeking. It's aligned with gratitude and responsibility. They understand that wealth carries stewardship. Because they're secure, they don't need recognition for generosity. And ironically, that makes it more powerful. What makes quiet millionaires fascinating is not just their money, it's their mindset. They tend to think in decades, not months. They measure success by net worth, not net applause. They understand that looking rich and being rich are often opposites. Flash attracts attention, but silence builds assets. The world often celebrates visible wealth, but invisible wealth is usually more stable. If you reflect on these signs, you'll notice a pattern. Disciplined, privacy, intentionality, patience, and calm confidence. None of these traits require showing off. In fact, showing off often contradicts them. The quiet millionaire doesn't chase validation because their validation comes from security and optionality. They can walk away from bad deals. They can survive downturns. They can take risks because they have buffers. That quiet power rarely announces itself, but it's always present. And here's the deeper insight. These signs aren't just identifiers. They're principles. Anyone can adopt them. You don't need millions in the bank to begin thinking like a quiet millionaire. You can start valuing privacy. You can prioritize quality over quantity. You can invest consistently. You can resist lifestyle inflation. You can build networks intentionally. You can protect your time. Wealth is often the byproduct of these habits rather than the starting point. The loudest room isn't always the richest one. Sometimes the most financially powerful person is the one listening more than speaking. Driving the modest car, wearing the plain jacket, asking thoughtful questions, and quietly wiring investments behind the scenes. In a culture obsessed with appearance, subtlety becomes a signal, and if you train your eye to see it, you'll realize that real wealth whispers. So the next time you meet someone who seems grounded, private, calm about money, uninterested in hype, generous without display, and quietly consistent in their habits, don't underestimate them. They might not look like the millionaire stereotype sold on social media. They might not post luxury vacations or designer hauls, but their restraint, discipline, and long-term thinking could be silently compounding into something extraordinary. And perhaps the most empowering part of all this is understanding that quiet wealth is accessible. It's not about inheritance or luck alone. It's about habits repeated, ego restrained, and time leveraged. It's about playing a long game in a short attention span world. The signs may be subtle, but once you see them, you can't unsee them. The calm confidence, the quiet quality, the patient discipline, the intentional living. These don't just hint at money, they hint at mastery. In the end, a quiet millionaire doesn't need the world to know they've won. They measure victory differently, and maybe that's the biggest sign of all.